we love the unpredictability of the concert event. Now, unless, of course, you're the person who got their phone slapped out of his hand from Corey Taylor, in which case you might have a couple of cracks that, well, prove that you were there. Actually, you might end up really liking that, especially if you're a big Corey Taylor or Slipknot fan. Yeah, Corey Taylor broke my phone, dude. Yeah, I could definitely see that being a conversation that happens. Maybe even sold on eBay. I don't know. So you're probably wondering, he just got his phone slapped out of his hands, coverkillernation. That's not news! That's not fucking news! And I say, yes it actually is. And you say, how? How is this news? And I say, stay with me. So, Corey Taylor, you know the man. He's in the news quite frequently, whether it be for something that he says, or in this case, something that he did. Something that I think that happens more often than not. I don't think this is the first time that he has gone over and slapped someone's phone out of their hands. In fact, I know that he spoke about dumping water on people's phones, and one girl's got ruined, and she pouted all night. But, yeah, he's in the news quite a bit. He was in the news about 10 days ago, considering he'd had a hell of a fall at a show. And he, of course, just had neck and spine surgery, so not a good time to have a Humpty Dumpty moment. Could have been very, very serious. But Corey Taylor has spoken about the whole concept of texting or, being on your phone at a show before. And this is kind of a reiteration of that whole concept of that whole old article, I guess, if you really want to put it like that, considering whenever you go to a show, whenever you go to a concert event, whenever you're about to see your favorite band, what do you see in the audience? You see a lot of this. I mean, yeah, you might see some this, but how many people call anymore? I mean, that's just, nobody calls me. I don't call anybody else, unless it's, of course, somebody that's older than the generation, such as my parents, either that or my grandparents, which that'd be weird if they called, because none of them are alive. But anyhow, this is, again, the situation where everybody also now becomes an amateur or professional film crew for this show. And I'm just going to let a number of you in on a teeny tiny little secret, okay? I don't want you to take this the wrong way, mainly because, in a large way, it's not your fault. It really isn't your fault. You're used to filming things that you want to supposedly relive. You think that if you film it, you'll be able to see it all the time, and you can be just as happy as you were at that very moment. And the problem is that you're not happy at that very moment because there's fucking heads and shit in front of you, and you try to have to do this and whittle around, and that's why you get the front row seats, right? Well, then Corey Taylor comes over and goes, fuck you! If you're gonna text, stay home! And also, what I gotta tell you is, and it's not your fault, really it's not your fault, your videos that you take of these bands whenever they are performing really fucking suck. I mean, they really fucking suck. I mean, there is an entire subsection of YouTube that is dedicated to really, really fucking sucky videos of bands. Really good bands. These videos, they're insults to these bands. They're an insult actually to you, and may actually be an insult to your camera as well. The problem with it is that these cameras are ill-equipped to handle the sound that is happening, especially if you're extremely close to where the band is. And then the problem is that if you get further back, your phone is very ill-equipped in most cases to handle zooming up far enough and still maintaining a halfway decent picture. That way you can take that and still get more of a distance effect from the sound. So what's the solution to this? It's pretty fucking simple. Whenever bands are on stage, the phone goes in the pocket. And quite frankly, I don't understand why so many people take their phones to a show anyway, especially a heavy metal show. Maybe this is the reason why I don't see as much, moshing and, craziness these days, because everyone's too busy worrying about their phone in their pockets, getting busted a little bit. Come on. I think that our technology is taking a little bit of the sense of fun out of life. And now, I can only imagine, with Pokemon Go, that people will go to events, and they will have to say, "Stop the concerts! There's a Pikachu right by James Hetfield's ass! I must catch it! I must catch them all!" I think that's what Corey's really getting at here. He's getting at that old adage that you should put the phone the fuck down. that you should watch what you're doing. Whether it's just walking down the road or watching Slipknot or your favorite band, whoever they may be, rip it up, for an evening. And speaking of, Joe Perry from Aerosmith unfortunately had a cardiac arrest last evening. 65 years old, had it on stage with the Hollywood Vampires, was seated over by the drum kit, and then went to the back and collapsed. Had to be ushered to medical safety. He's alright, he's in stable condition. But here's the thing, we don't need a bunch of people doing this whenever Joe Perry is potentially dying. Or whenever anybody's potentially dying. We need people to act. My only word of advice for each and every one of you is simple. I have a couple of things, and I actually agree very much with what Corey has said on this topic. Firstly and foremostly, if you have a camera on your phone and you think that you're going to be a hotshot video expert, don't do that. Don't do that. There's a subsection of YouTube that basically just sounds like... And remember, this is a Pornhub. There isn't a BSDM section here. So, yeah. Actually, maybe there is. I don't know. Second of all, if you have to text somebody like your daughter, like your son, like somebody who's in your family, your ride, if you're a younger fan, then do so between songs or do so between sets, unless it's an absolute emergency. If it's an emergency, that's understandable. And really, what should be defined as an emergency is that you look down at your phone between songs or something like that, and you note that you've gotten some bad news or something. And if that's the case, then excuse yourself to the back. Excuse yourself to a place where there is a little bit less in the way of activity, and you handle your shit. There are some things I understand that you can't help. If somebody died, like if grandma died, you getting there as fast as humanly possible ain't gonna bring her back. But, if somebody is injured, if somebody is hurt, it might be the last chance that you get to see them. If something bad happens, if your house is on fire, you might want to go back and take care of that shit. And lastly, enjoy the show for what it is, If you're annoyed whenever you go to a restaurant and somebody is on their phone, whenever you're trying to have a conversation with them, imagine how the bands feel performing to a bunch of people that look like they couldn't be fucked less. Just some food for thought. I actually agree a lot with Corey on this. Right on, buddy. Right on, bro. If you go to a Slipknot show and you're in the front row and you're texting, just better hope that you have an Autobox on your fucking phone, man. That's all I'm going to say. Because Corey will take no prisoners. CKN Nation, what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. Take care.